I set up in Hong Kong, where I lived for 10 years, a dragon boat team called the Sea Gods. And we were a fun team. We did a lot of drinking. It was a group of friends. We paddled, and over about the first 3 or 4 years, we got a little bit better. I think it's the third year we suddenly found ourselves winning one of the lower ranked competitions. That was a really great experience. We're happy, and what we realised was we wanted to push on each year. People weren't happy if they weren't learning, and you would lose people; they'd drift away to other things. So we started building on that. 5 years in, we'd always had a mixed team, but there was only a men's and a ladies competition. We had to go in the men's, we couldn't win it, and they introduced a mixed category. And I laid down a challenge of saying, I want to win this. And most of the people in the team, it's just not possible. There was such a gap between ourselves and the other teams, and they trained so hard. They did so many times a week compared to what we did. And I said, no, I think this is possible, and I think people are up for it. And one of my very good friends said, you're not going to get people to turn up 3 times a week and put in these hours. And I said, well, they do for their rugby training, let's try it. And what I learned was, when you set a really aggressive goal, you put a framework in place for those people to make it achievable. We hired a coach to do circuits that had trained Olympic athletes. And I can remember, interestingly, a week before, we were in a run-up race, and there were 7 teams, of which 6 were going to be at this event on the day. And we went out and we paddled, and we came 6th out of 7 in that race. But the difference that separated the first to the 6th boat was half a second between all of them, literally. And we went out in the middle of that week, and I said, we can do this. And we really practiced and focused on our technique. And we won by a decent margin on the day. And I remember in one of the semi-finals, one of the girls on the boat, we beat the team that was probably, we knew was going to be the hardest to beat. And she was in floods of tears in the semi, because she thought, we can do this. And it was just an amazing feeling. By pushing them harder, they were actually more inspired and they worked harder. And that's something I've learned for any of the teams, that actually people want to be pushed. They work better when they've got an aggressive goal and they can really see themselves getting somewhere. If you make it easy for people, they tend to sit back and they're actually less happy, and they'll probably drift away.